1 second, guys. Sorry. Clear. Hey, everybody. It's me. It's Michael B. And tonight we're talking about Arcade1Up cabinets. Are these arcade recreations? Are they toys? Are they big boy toys? Are they children's toys? Does it even matter? Let's talk about it on Chillin' Chat with Michael B. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I see a lot of people in the chat. I want to go back to a comment earlier. Twisted Gaming TV, I wonder what you come up with this video. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with Robert Foxworth, 19K Fox, the panty dropper. I wrote him a message earlier and said, thank you very much for what you said last night for kind of inspiring this chat. And I also put down in the description, there's a link to 19K Fox's live stream from last night. Go check it out, guys. It's worth the watch. And I got to say a lot of good things about 19K Fox. I've only recently got to know him a little bit better, and he's a really good dude. He's a genuine dude, and what you see on camera is what you get. So big thumbs up to 19K Fox. What he said last night and who he is too, man. Good dude. Hey, everybody. So before we go too far into it, we're going to be talking about Arcade1Up cabinets tonight, specifically Terminator 2, but Arcade1Up in general, and home arcade cabinets. I'm not letting NAC games or iArcade off easier just because Arcade1Up is the one everybody likes to bag on. I mean, realistically, let's ask the question, are these arcade replacements or are these toys? I think we know the answer to that. But before that, there is something I really wanted to talk to you guys about. I mentioned this on Facebook on the Super Game Room Dudes page, and I mentioned this on Twitter as well. I've been doing this for a very long time. In fact, I forgot to tell you guys last week that last week was, in fact, my 1-year anniversary of Chillin' Chat with Michael B. I've been doing this for a year. So it was a year ago last week that this dummy went out and bought a new microphone and new computer and wanted to try out live streaming like this, talking to you guys about Arcade1Up and other stuff. And yeah, I've been doing it for a full year and it's been awesome. So I want to say thank you for that. But I also understand that in order to stay relevant and stay with the times, every now and then you have to rebrand. So I've been doing a lot of introspection recently, thinking about what kind of person, what kind of YouTuber I want to be going forward. And I decided I needed to rebrand. So I engaged a marketing firm. I've spent a lot of money. We're talking thousands, maybe even tens of thousands. So I want to unleash this tonight. And guys, go easy on me. You know, I put a lot of money into this. This is the official Michael B. the Game Genie rebrand. Get ready for it, guys. So guys, what do you think? This is Michael B. the Game Genie. No expense was spared. Top dollar work right here. Michael B. the Game Genie. I'm very impressed with what the company has done. I think they've perfectly encapsulated what it is to be Michael B. the Game Genie. You know, it's just beautiful. It's amazing art. I can't say enough good things about this. So yeah, for those people that watched the Street Fighter 6 announcement last night, yeah, everybody's hyped. We got like a little bit of a teaser video after they did the Capcom Fighters pack, and then they announced Street Fighter 6 with the weirdest logo I've ever seen in my life. So I want to pull it up on stage, on screen right now. And I'm a little bit late because I was rushing to get this done. But so this is the Street Fighter 6 logo that they announced last night and showed off. And everybody just looked at it and said, wow, that looks like shit. I don't know why they did this. They probably spent a fortune trying to rebrand Street Fighter, come up with something new and unique. Well, guys, you could have saved a lot of money and just did this. I think everybody would have just been as happy with that. And I apologize, guys. I did this, and this was a super rush job. But honestly, to me, this looks better. It's got that whole Roddy Piper shirt going for it. Yeah, Street Fighter 6. Aye. What an embarrassment, right? Oh. Oh my, too funny. So there is no real announcement or anything like that, but I just wanted to make fun of that. The announcement last night, sure, it's cool. We're getting Street Fighter 6, but you know what? I might wait like a couple months until we get Super Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter 6 Turbo. It's the problem with Capcom when they announce these games. Unless you want to be one of the super competitive people in there first, I mean, you might as well wait until the 19th iteration of the game comes out. JJ, what? Tens of thousands? Obviously, I didn't spend anything on it. 19K Fox, we were talking about you a minute ago, brother. Money well spent. I actually don't spend any money for editing help or thumbnail help or graphics help. Do all that stuff myself. That's part of the process. That's part of the fun. I really like trying to learn how to do that now. I don't do everything myself. I engage people. You might notice the camera quality's gotten a lot better recently. That's thanks to Justin Console Kits. Gave me a lot of help with my lighting, my camera setup. So thanks to him. But, you know, everything else in terms of my graphics and stuff, I try to do my best I can. And I also give, even though I don't use Mason a lot of credit, because I take a look at what Mason does on his thumbnails for people, and you get ideas. You watch other really talented and good people to get ideas on how you can improve yourself. Most epic rebrand I've ever seen. Thank you very much, Endless1Up. And it shows. I don't know if you're saying that I do it myself and it shows. Did they say what platform Street Fighter 6 will be on? I've got a good feeling you're going to get it on Steam, PlayStation 5, and Xbox One X. See, you know what? Mike Hawk Hurts is a man who thinks. What's happening, 9 Scorpions? So, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. I asked you, go easy on me a little bit. I had an unfortunate dentist appointment today, and they removed one of my back teeth, like my wisdom teeth. It was cracked off years ago. I got it filled and never took, and just got worse again. So, anyways, they ended up, I've been in pain for like the last week, so they finally took the tooth out today. I don't feel so good. But anyways, this has been a hot topic in the community lately. People are always talking about Arcade1Up, and Retro Ralph put a tweet out, and everybody kind of read it the wrong way, I think, because Ralph put a tweet out. Obviously, Ralph is a big Arcade1Up fan. He's got ties closely to this community, and he's also a real arcade enthusiast. Ralph has a real arcade Terminator 2. He bought the Arcade1Up to see how good a job they did on it. So he put it side by side, and he noticed some emulation issues. Hobby Hands with a $2 super chat. Not as bad as Quizno's rat commercial. If that was a new one for the Super Bowl, I haven't seen it. You got to remember, I'm in Canada, and we still can't get the American commercials. So anyways, Ralph, when he was doing his testing and he wanted to see, he noticed that there was an emulation issue. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not an original arcade expert, so I didn't bring this up in my review. And I also shortchanged you because usually, guys, when I get a new cabinet, I do a live stream of me playing it before I do my review, and it gives a more overall impression of what the cabinet's like. I didn't get a chance to do that this time, so I put the review out first, and I'm going to do the live stream later on. That was the idea. But what Ralph did was catch up on an emulation issue, and even when I looked at his post and I was watching it, I was like, what's he talking about? And I actually had to ask him back. I said, are you talking about how the sound stutters from time to time and it's not one for one with the arcade? And he wrote back and said, yes. Ralph discovered major emulation issues. Major. Yep, totally crazy major issues. So Ralph discovered there's an emulation issue with the game. It's not one for one with the arcade. Absolutely. It's there. And, it was what it was. So I said, no, that sucks. Hopefully they can update it. But what happened was, this started this crazy happening. Not Ralph's fault, because all he did was put a post out there, putting information out there that's completely, valid, useful. Hopefully Arcade1Up sees it and does an update and fixes it. But it created this massive swing of people just, not only attacking, Arcade1Up YouTubers, and that's fine, but also attacking, people just that have the cabinet, saying, you wasting your money, it's a piece of junk. And it's just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. If you don't like Arcade1Up, that's fine. If you've got friends that like Arcade1Up, sure, you can give them a little bit of chiding and stuff like that if you have that relationship. But what we saw was... I'll come back to you in a second, Cameron. So what we saw was people out there that are just going out there and like attacking people. Like someone put a post and was like, hey, I've got Terminator 2. I love it. And then people would come in and just slam them and be like, oh, you wasted your money. For that money, you could get a real cabinet and the emulation sucks. And you see that post all the time of people out there and like it's just people sitting around happy. And the guy comes yelling and he's like, quit having fun. And that's kind of what it felt like. But, you know, it created this whole dynamic of people saying it's just a toy, it's just junk. And I have actually had people attack me recently. I did a video just over the weekend about why I sold my Arcade1Up pinball tables. And someone actually came on there and started to slam me saying, these aren't authentic. And I was like, I never said they were authentic. I mean, these are recreations. These are no different than the quarter arcades or any of that stuff going out there. I mean, these are just basically recreations of the original arcade. Sometimes they're better than others. No one is saying these are real arcades. So it was just really caught me off guard. And what I wanted to do was have a conversation about it and just really have a fun conversation with you guys. I don't want to attack anybody or anything like that. But I just want to ask the question, like, what do you expect when you're getting an Arcade1Up? Like, to me, I've always looked at it that these are just at-home recreations. Like, they're toys, obviously. Even a real arcade is a toy. 19K Fox, again, said it best last night. No matter what it is, if you have a real arcade, cars can be toys. Everything is a toy, something for your enjoyment. It doesn't really matter what it is, but there's different expectations for quality. So I find it interesting when people that are real arcade enthusiasts look down on Arcade1Up and say, wow, what a piece of junk. And you might be saying, wow, Mike, you're a big Arcade1Up enthusiast. Of course you're taking that side. But I've been on the other side of the spectrum too, because this is not the first time this stuff has come up. I'm somebody with a big history in the retro gaming console world. And at one point, I myself used to not vocally, but personally look down on people that played through emulation. You have to play on an original hardware, you have to use a CRT. That was my motto. And then if someone played on emulation, I was like, well, it's not the same. So I had that opinion. I never voiced that opinion. I never went out and put anybody down for playing that way. That was just my opinion back then. But slowly over time, I realized it doesn't really matter. And I will also give another example just recently. Everybody's going nuts about the Nintendo Switch online expansion pack in the N64. They're like, the emulation is terrible. It's unplayable, unusable. And I'm scratching my head here because I've been playing it. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64. I've played through all of them. I'm almost finished Banjo-Kazooie, and I'm like, I don't see it. I'm having fun. I'm having a good time. Why is everybody trying to shit on this? Dreamcast Kyle, exactly. Real arcade enthusiasts here own both styles of cabinets, to each their own. Yeah, that's the thing. Listen, man, I get it. I completely get it. But let me get this little bit of pre-verbiage out there and explain my backers on there. So when it comes to the Nintendo Switch N64 online emulation, for me, I mean, it seems to work great. I think the Super Nintendo NES emulation is really good, but there's going to be people out there that have hired expectations. There's people out there that are speedrunners, that are, doing the exact same stuff that, Digital Foundry does, of picking it apart, doing frame-by-frame backgrounds. The only time I've ever felt that way is you can notice a little bit of input lag sometimes, like on the NES Classic, if you're playing Punch-Out, obviously you can notice a little bit of input lag with emulation. So even then I'm like, I get it. But realistically, most casual people, they're not going to notice this. So why are we being so ham-fisted and crazy that you're trying to shove something down somebody's throat that they don't even care. And the NES Classic was another one. And I experienced it a lot with the Arcade1Up stuff too. So the NES Classic, when that came out, it was so hard to get. And I remember I tried so hard to get one. I actually ended up waiting in a lineup for like 12 hours in a EB Games here in Canada in order to get one, because we knew a shipment was coming in. And then when I told my story, everybody was like, "You're an idiot. You could have just bought a Raspberry Pi, because that doesn't play 30 games, that plays 700 games." And I'm like, oh geez, I guess I wasted my money because I didn't know the genius that is the Raspberry Pi, where I could just play them all that way. Did you ever stop to think, maybe I just want the NES Classic? So why are you forcing your opinion down my throat? It's just fascinating. There are people with common sense knowing you're getting a poor quality product for the price. Fascinating, Dean. So there are people that their opinion is, hey, you're wasting your money. But if people are happy, are they wasting their money? Like, what does it matter to anybody else? That's what I don't get. Like, why is this superiority about what people want? Like, I get it. If you're having an honest conversation and you're trying to help people, that's different. Attacking somebody for liking something is just so weird. But anyways, I that's my whole pre-verbiage. The question now I want to talk to you people about is, what are your expectations? Like, for one, a lot of people say, there's people out there with a big history in the arcades. They play the arcades and they want that experience home. Like Chris, Killer Arcade Games. I mean, obviously, that's a guy who has access to arcade games. He likes real arcade games. Obviously, if he gets an Arcade1Up, he's going to compare that to the experience of playing it on a real arcade cabinet. And that's fine. These are not for everybody. No one's sitting here telling you Arcade1Ups are the best thing in the entire world, or AtGames Legends Ultimate's the best thing in the world, or the iArcade's the best thing in the world. I think all anybody's saying is these are fun. But I noticed a lot more uptake in the attacking things once the price went up a little bit, and then comparatively saying, listen, you could go out and buy a Terminator 2 cab for, I don't know what they go for, like $1,000, and now here in Canada it's $850 plus tax, so I'm paying $1,000 for the Arcade1Up version. So I get your argument there, that makes sense. But at the same time, you also run into the same issue everybody else says. They're big. Oh, here we go. Seth Lacey says, I like 1UP for the nostalgia and the convenience of having something just to boot on and play instead of a machine that takes a lot of maintenance. Yeah, that's where I was going with it. So, Nick, anyways, he bought a real Terminator 2 and his mirror broke, right? Nick Madsen. So, I mean, you get into that stuff, and not everybody can fix that stuff or want to pay somebody for fixing that stuff. So, are there people complaining build quality of Legends Ultimate for the price? Yeah, there's a lot of people who shit on the Legends Ultimate. There's Arcade1Up. See, and I'm not saying Arcade1Up fans are just infallible, because there's Arcade1Up fans that look at the AtGames Legends Ultimate and no matter what you tell them they could do, they're like, yeah, but it's just ugly. So, I mean, everybody has different opinions. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Like, it's just, you play with what you want to play. But I guess the message at the end of the day is maybe stay in your own lane and let people enjoy what they enjoy. Now, calling out a reviewer, if the reviewer claims to have very heavy arcade knowledge and then missing and says, I'm comparing this exactly to a real arcade cabinet and the way it plays, I mean, yeah, call somebody out for that. But most people don't have that knowledge. Most people that have like a big arcade background are probably doing stuff with real arcades, not doing stuff with Arcade1Up and home arcade cabinets. The ALU is fugly, but to each their own. Exactly. Some people will never play an AtGames Legends Ultimate because it's ugly. And Dreamcast Kyle used to be a big Arcade1Up enthusiast, did a lot of modding with his Arcade1Up stuff, now has moved on to real arcades. Dreamcast Kyle has a Marvel vs. Capcom. What else do you have, Kyle? You got a Killer Instinct, too. I'm trying to remember everything. Why is the Legends Ultimate controller and wood better than Arcade1Up? different distributors, different money they're putting into it. At Games Legends Ultimate, they went with a higher grade controller and higher grade buttons, so it feels better. Sulper says, F that, I'm a gatekeeper of fun. Anyways, moving away from that, going back to the question again and trying not to get off my soapbox. So, Arcade1Up comes out. And then all of a sudden, there's this new interest in arcade collecting, new interest in classic arcade cabinets. I know myself, I've always been pseudo interested. I used to watch like the show Arcade Impossible, but that was the extent of what I'd watch, and that's how I found out about John's Arcade, but I never really watched him. However, when I got really into Arcade1Up and I got my cabinets that were based on my childhood nostalgia, I actually got more interested in real arcades. So Retro Ralph says this all the time. It's like a gateway drug. So Arcade1Up sometimes can, or home arcade stuff can sometimes lead you to getting into real arcade collecting and paying attention to real arcade stuff. So here's the other thing I don't understand about real arcade enthusiasts being so aggressive towards this. At the end of the day, you guys were all part of a very niche hobby. So that niche hobby, basically over time will become less and less interesting to people, kind of disappear. It's stuff like this, even though it's not the exact same thing, that is bringing more attention and interest into your hobby, bringing more eyes on it and more eyes for content creators, more eyes for everybody. So this is a good thing. You shouldn't be negative to these people that are, trying to wet their toes into arcade experience through what you're doing. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Now, I get the reverse of that. It means that a lot more people are getting interested in the hobby, which means more people are going to be buying, which might increase the prices. And, I've been there with retro games. Trust me. I've seen games go from $5 to $300. So I get it. It's okay to be somewhat upset about that. But otherwise, yeah. Vic Vicious, you did miss the earth-shattering news. I paid a company to do a massive rebrand of my channel. Here's the result. Beautiful. So, 19K Fox said it best last night. There's no reason for any of us to attack each other, get on each other. We're all doing the right thing here. We're all just doing what was fun. I can agree with that. I'm also hoping the Capcom re-releases for consoles will get people curious about Arcade1Ups and real arcades. Yeah, at the end of the day, this all perpetuates retro gaming, and isn't that what we all have in common anyways? Or is there different classes of gamers too? Do you have to be a casual gamer? Do you have to be a real gamer? Do you have to be an arcade gamer? Like, none of this stuff matters. Like, we're just playing games and talking about games. Just enjoy it. The other thing, too, I did a video a while back called Retro 2020, and it was amazing how many people missed the point of that video, because I talked about how 2020 was probably one of the best times to get into retro gaming, and everybody said, you're nuts, prices are through the roof, because everybody assumed I meant like hardcore physical collecting, and I was like, no, that's not retro gaming. That's not what it means to be a retro gamer. What I was talking about was it's never been easier to access shit to play. Like, you have different options. You have, at the time, mini consoles with the original controllers. You've got Raspberry Pi with excellent controllers from 8BitDo that recreate the original experience. You got stuff like Arcade1Up. You've got systems like the Switch with the NES online service. It's never been a better time to get into retro gaming because it's so accessible in so many different ways. But of course, everybody jumped on it and said, no, you're wrong. It's never been a worse time because prices are so high. You have to play on original consoles. That's the only way you're a retro gamer, which was nuts. Yeah, Giovanni, that was a very stupid mistake on their part. It doesn't have MK3. It's basically the same Midway legacy. Send it back and state exactly that reason. No attacking each other. The Game Genie will call for the Emergencies Act. No, I won't call for the Emergencies Act. And I'm also, listen, I'm not saying you can have your opinions. You can even have negative opinions about people. Just maybe keep it to yourself. That's all. Just curious, Kuma Rev, is it the same behavior from people who drive the noise around what counts and what doesn't count for being a gamer, or what is a real product or not? Is it random people in each? There seems to be fandoms, Rev, to be honest. Like, there's specific people that have specific opinions. You'll get them in your fandoms. It's no different than the console wars stuff. You've got PlayStation people versus Xbox people, and they get very, very, very behind what they do. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. It's usually the same people. I would love to see them one day settle aside their differences, meet up in person, and work everything out. Because, obviously, I'm friends with P-Dubs. I really like Ralph. I'm friends with Ralph. So I would love to see that happen. But anyways, that's between them. This is getting... Well, we're not supposed to be having that conversation. The main conversation about this is, what are Arcade1Up supposed to be? And that's what I really wanted to talk about. And the reality is, they are toys. They're toys. They're no different than, I have the quarter arcade Miss Pac-Man. The only difference is in terms of the size and how it works. But what I do like about Arcade1Up, and what I do like about... Oh... Thanks, Rev. I appreciate it. What I do like about Arcade1Up is when they do a really good job of replicating the arcade experience. When they blur the line, and even though you're sitting in front of this 3/4 scale toy recreation, it can make you think that, or feel like you're playing the real arcade. I like that. I never ever said that they recreate the real arcades. Maybe the Pro line will get closer, but I like when they go out of their way to do things good. So going back to Ralph's comment about Terminator 2, I said it in my review. There's a couple things that they really missed out on that make this feel not so much like the arcade. The fact that guns, the way the guns are colored, how light they feel, and the fact that they're not accurate to the original arcade experience. Of course, that's going to take away from the experience, what the arcade was like. And then also the way the monitor was done, the monitor, the depth that was included with that, the mirror, the lighting effects, and all that stuff. So, I mean, it loses that again. So it's taken away from the arcade experience. So, I mean, I was pretty clear about that in my review, but I don't know if everybody really cares about that. If you do, I said, maybe stay away. So I think the bigger problem now is the confusion 1UP is creating with their own products. That's an interesting choice. Oh, I don't care. I will say, I thought it was interesting how this one person was looking at my... Like, everybody looked at that video I put out this weekend about me selling my Arcade1Up pinballs, and they were like, good, they're shit. I never once said they were shit. I really like my Arcade1Up pinballs, but what the big factor for me is the fact that these are really good, but I want my arcade to emulate a real arcade, and I like what Arcade1Up's doing, releasing the original cabinets, getting closer and closer, recreations of the original cabinet, getting closer and closer to looking more like what the original cabinets were. So the pinball, even though they're cool, that didn't really fit my desire for that room, and that's why I decided to move them out to make more room for arcade cabinets that were closer to the original. And then everybody jumped on it, and they were like, these aren't real. Hey, what's happening, Detroit Love? Well, I think I think this is one of the things that's really got this community a little bit angry and also got some spite from other places is the price increases. Nobody's been happy with the price increases. Yeah, no one needs to be belligerent. We can all do this. What's the right term? Keep our heads up above water and do that. And, you know, iArcade is another example. I love my iArcade, but I mean, realistically, people always harp on that for not being more like a real arcade machine. It's got great buttons. It's got a great screen, 19 inches. But at the end of the day, it doesn't have a light-up marquee, doesn't have the right form factor, and doesn't have a lot of the games people want. It has more modern games. So, you know, people aren't going to look at that and say, that's a real arcade. And I mentioned the AtGames Legends Ultimate. Mainly the problem with that is it's a connected device, constantly doing updates. Again, the games list, when you don't bring your own game, and the online right now, where that stands, and the look of it. People just don't like the look. I mean, it's got a 19-inch screen. And of course, that's future-proofing a 19-inch screen. It's got a 24-inch monitor in it. And that's future-proofing so you can bring your own game and play stuff like Street Fighter V off Steam. But realistically, that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And that's fine, too. No, I didn't say that. There's a long history there. That's all I'll say. That's their issues. That's Paul. My name's Paul, and that's between y'all. Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that the guns aren't the highest quality, but no one's saying they are. Like, no one's not saying this is a toy. Switch has an amazing lineup of arcade stuff, especially if you get a decent stick for it. And that's another thing. Some people don't even need a cabinet. They're happy just playing shit with an arcade stick. Like, there's that new Fightcade, and people are going out getting arcade sticks. They're happy fighting online with that. No cabinet needed. So that's another level. Not everybody even needs a cabinet. Want them. Yeah, that's exactly what I said earlier. The guy that commented on my pinball video, his specific term were, these aren't collectibles. They're just junk toys. And I was like, a collectible is in the eye of the beholder. I have Dick Tracy toys that I consider to be a collectible. But, you know, other people look at them and say they're old junky toys. Like, yeah. Fisher Price, my first Arcade1Up. Oh, asthmatic. So that's just it, guys. I don't have a long-winded speech on this or anything like that. I don't have anything pathetic to say, not like 19K Fox did. I just wanted to have a conversation of, you know, what do people expect? Do people think Arcade1Ups? What do these people think Arcade1Ups should be? Getting the experience right in terms of the emulation is 100% should be there. I hate when they don't do that. But, like, do you expect a 1-for-1 3/4 replication of original arcade? Is that what you think you're getting? Like, when you buy quarter arcades, do you hold them to the same standards? Or do you just realize they are what they are? I'm not defending Arcade1Up. I'm just trying to understand where the mindset is in the community and what people expect. Yeah, that's one thing that Arcade1Up's constantly battling. They need better customer service, not customer service, but quality control coming out of those factories, because by the time the product gets to you, I'm assuming what happens is it gets to the distributor, they check a representative sample to make sure they work, everything clears, like 90% clear, they'll send them out, and then unfortunately those mistakes get by. Yeah, that Michelob Light cabinet's ugly. I don't know why they did that, Cameron. Let's see. Dom, I'm missing that comment, Kung Zarus. I expect if they want me to pay $500 that it doesn't have QC issues. Yeah, that's one they've been working on for years. Hopefully they get that straightened out. There's no defense on that one. Oh, Oh, you don't have to super chat to do that. The smaller things are, the more toy-like people's impressions are. Yeah, so I say this in my review. When Arcade1Up does a good job trying to recreate the arcade experience, it blurs the line. Console kits. Mike B loves making drama live streams. Here for the drama. I don't think there's any drama. I could be wrong. I'm upset because I have 23 quarter and now there's XLs. Yeah, now that is something to be upset about. I don't know what I'm going to do there either. I'm a little offset about that. But then again, we don't have to buy the XLs. That's on us if we want to upgrade. So thank you very much for the super chat, Seth. I saw another one here. Yep, I have several vintage computers and consoles, toys that I proudly display, and some would call junk, but they make me happy. Yes! At the end of the day, and thank you very much for the super chat, Hobby Hands. At the end of the day, 100%, this is the thing here. Like, the main message is, don't make people feel bad because they want something or they're buying something. Like, you know, you can give people feedback that maybe this product's not very good, but like, to compare it to a real arcade cabinet is just wacky, man. Like, I don't know why you would do that. Like, is there people in the quarter arcade community that do the same thing? They're like, whoa, I'd stay away from that 1943. That does not have the same controls as the original cabinet. Wow, now Console Kits is the one starting drama. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see. Who cares? Children play football and baseball, but there's still multi-billion-dollar industries behind them. Sure. At the end of the day, I asked that question. Do we even care? Did Mike just say, no, you don't have to buy an XL cabinet if you decide to move into... And see, 19K Fox, where you're wrong there. You're assuming there's going to be an XL line. And that was what I was originally going to do this episode on this time, was everybody's jumping the gun and assuming that just like a Pro line, we're getting an XL line. What makes you think we're getting an XL line? What makes you think that maybe just some cabinets are going to be bigger than others? Yeah, AWOL 101. That's been the biggest problem. Like, when I thought these cabinets were just going up $100 this wave, I was pissed off. But, like, they went up so much more. So, yeah, I'm in agreement. That's one of the things, like, I noticed in the community, the 20,000 plus strong in the Arcade1Up global fan page. That seems to be the biggest thing, especially with some of the, more vocal original fans. It's all about that price point and attacking people. It's almost like they're attacking people for still buying because they think everybody should have went on strike for Arcade1Up until the prices came down. So it's almost like they're upset that people are still justifying buying them because they can't justify buying them at the current price. So, are you still buying? Well, I just bought Terminator 2, but, like, I mean, my arcade is super full, so I'm not buying anything currently. And I just spent a fortune on my rebrand, right? Twisted Gaming TV, Chris, what's happening, brother? My 90s arcades are toys, too. Men and women are toys also when it's after hours. I'm going to tell my wife that, Chris, see what she thinks. I mean, he's 100% right. Like, whatever you do for enjoyment can be considered a toy. Like, that's the truth. Charlie Chuck was in here earlier, and Charlie said, I think it was Charlie said, like, you can have no, it was Jason Tierney said, you can have a lawnmower that's considered a toy, like a big boy toy. I mean, that's 100% right. Whether you have a real arcade that's commercial grade, or you have like a toy version or a console with an arcade stick, it's all the same thing. It's all toys. It's just different levels. And the difference is what the player's expectations are. The person that's using it, what their expectations are. That's the only thing that separates this stuff. But I get people being upset at the company. So it's fine to be upset at the company. Like, if you're an arcade enthusiast and you're trying to help the company by giving them negative feedback, that's fine. Toy word's not a bad thing, Chris. 100%. Toy word is totally not a bad thing. Sean P, the Killer Instinct, local Killer Instinct is still at the store because I can't. Yeah, Cameron, this is an excellent point too. The biggest sale for me, someone who owns original vintage cabinets, is the online play. I'll probably end up with a Killer Instinct because of it. Any 1v1 games benefit from this. 100%. And to a lesser degree, not everybody's going to be excited about this, but it goes back to preference. Like I talked about with the Arcade1Ups and what different people want is... You're saying any 1v1 games, but some people like the leaderboard shit. Like the fact that there's leaderboards on Tron. Someone like a Jennifer Yabutt, everybody knows Philly chick, Jennifer. I mean, what she does with Star Wars. They release a Star Wars tomorrow with online leaderboards. Jennifer's probably going to be the first person buying that cabinet. And she is good enough that she wants to compete against other people. So that would be enough for her to go buy it. That would interest, and even people that are arcade originals would probably do that. All right, console kits, I insist you tell me. You calling everything toy is just an attempt to level the playing field. Debate 101. But you know the next step to win the argument. I do not. I would appreciate if you imparted your wisdom upon me. Yeah. And here's a thing on preference too. Like this is a big one for me. I love that they put Burger Time on the iArcade. One of the best titles they have on it. But it's a horizontal screen with a vertical game, and you've got to get gate restrictors. So for me, I agree with you. It looks great. It plays great. Happy everybody can play it on the iArcade. But I really like having my Arcade1Up cabinet because of my personal preference with, the burger guy on the side, Peter Pepper, and with the vertical monitor. So it's all about what's good to you. Asthmatic, 100%, man. 100%. Arcade. Arcade1Up. Sometimes, I don't get it. Like, I sit here and scratch my head, and I look at what they do, and I'm like, who's this for? I do it a lot. Or why didn't they do that? I would love to see, beta tester program or other stuff in there where people are giving more real-time feedback. Twisted Chris got that Killer Instinct cabinet. I wish Twisted Chris had got that Killer Instinct cabinet months in advance before the final model was done and sent out to retailers, because then he could have done more than give feedback on the emulation. He could have gave real-time feedback on what needs to change with the controls, the spacing of the buttons, other things like that. That's the level I would love to see Arcade1Up get to, is that they can find people with the common sense to do that, because it seems to be missing. Console Kit says, exaggerate your opponent's position. Do you know, I never once ever did the debate thing in school. I played basketball. I played a little bit of hockey, not very much, but mainly basketball. And I did model you in. That might be the closest thing to it. Michael B., I got a question. Do you turn on all the machines when you play for Arcade Feel, or just the one you're playing? Oh, Seth, that's a really good question, because it depends on what's happening. Every time I'm in my arcade, I will turn every single arcade machine on, and then I'm hitting 80s hair metal music coming from my stereo. And sometimes I don't even need to play the games. I can just hang out. And I like the ambiance. I like the look of the arcade games. I like the look of the marquees. I like the look of the room. And I like hearing the music. Step 3, denounce opponent's arguments as fallacious. I'm going to look stupid here, but I don't know what fallacious means, Justin. What is Domino Man? I've never heard of it, Cameron. Okay, you take that one off there. Oh, and the other reveal I have tonight is there is an Arcade1Up Illuminati. It's real. Agreed. Console Kits is not a turd channel. I have seen arcade sticks because I have to buy every style of lever I can try. They're all toys. Yeah. Yeah, you got to turn them all on. But, like, there's also different people who want different things. There's not everybody out there. Fallacious equals false. Thank you, Bob Oif. So, going back up to CT Jason's comment, and thank you so much for being here, CT Jason. It depends on what you want again, what the experience is. For me, I want to pretend it is an arcade because you know what we don't have here in Newfoundland and haven't had here since about 20 years now? Yeah, 20 years since we've had an actual arcade here. An arcade. Like we've got a modern arcade with no old games in it, but I remember the old arcade with just a couple games. So I want to be transported back to that time, and the Arcade1Up cabinets is probably the closest I'm going to get to that here where I am, where there aren't a load of real cabinets available. I don't know how to fix them, so I like going in, turning it all on, turning the music on. I've got movie posters up on the wall, and I like pretending being transported back to a time when we did have an arcade, a simpler time. That's what it's all about for me. Yeah, the Arcade1Up Illuminati Clear is telling you to click past every one of my comments because it's a valid counter-argument. At least P-Dubs addressed it. Rainwater Games, I'm sorry, I just saw you, I saw you guys going back and forth, and I know you were doing some back and forth on 19K Fox's channel last night. So, can you elaborate? And sure, I will address it live if you want to. Oh my God, Steve B. Did I miss a super chat from you or just a comment, brother? I'm sorry. Let's go back. Had to dip out for a second. Has everyone agreed on the best cabinet yet? That's the end goal, right? That's subjective too, man. Has everybody agreed on the best cabinet? It depends on what you want. Like, I've said it a million times. Did I get it all now, Steve B? Your toy TV. Thank you so much, Twisted Chris. Have a good night, you too, man. I don't know if you're... I'm a big wrestling fan, but I've found it really, really, really hard. Really hard with the way it is lately. I don't enjoy it, and it's not because I'm like one of these guys that's pro or something else. It's just, man, oh man, like... it's like 3 hours of TV with 5 matches, and 2 of the matches are like 3 minutes long. So, so anyways, enjoy the rest of Raw. Hopefully it's good, man. Hopefully something cool happens, and it's worth watching. And maybe I'll start watching again someday soon. All right, I'm trying to get. Yeah, comparing Switch to iArcade, it doesn't really make sense. It's not a good argument for me. The 1UP Illuminati does not have good illumination. That is true. My point was Fox said he didn't want to buy an arcade because the games were on Switch. Counter your argument is that all Arcade1Up games are on Switch too, so how is it different? Oh, that's right. Twisted Chris, WrestleMania is coming to Dallas, so you're getting ready for it. No doubt. I live in Canada, so we don't have that option of getting to WrestleMania. So, yeah, I don't know. That's Fox's point. Like, anything he would want to play that's not Arcade1Up related. Yeah, I don't know. I like iArcade. Someone else asked me why I don't cover it much. I don't know if you've been following things, but there hasn't been much going on with iArcade lately. Like, and a lot of the stuff they're releasing, I can't review that. If I'm not interested, I'm not going to cover it. And, you know, I'm pretty open about that. I hope they get more games. I hope they come out with, like, a way that they can sell a cheaper model to expand the user base to maybe get some more licenses in. That's why I don't cover iArcade much, is because there's not much going on. I suppose I just got the IR Glass, so, or the iGlass, is it? I don't know which one it is. I could do a review on that if that's something people want to see. Just let me know. Yeah, so, listen, Fox is an Arcade1Up fan. I mean, maybe one day he'll buy an iArcade, but not everybody is going to like the same stuff. I'm imagining that he likes the same thing I like about the Arcade1Ups, the art on the side, very specific games list. I don't know, but for him, the only appeal might be the modern games, because I know like Nostalgia mentions that all the time, but he's probably thinking, I can just play the modern games on my Switch too. How the Bachelor knows, IR glass for the win. I'm trying to say it right too, because I always say II. Yeah, the IR glass is awesome. Devil Waldo, really good point here. What's the difference between a toy and a collectible or a hobby? Plenty of grown men have entire train sets in their basement. Are those toys? Whatever you're into, it's all good. Yeah, 100%. 100%. It doesn't really matter. Like, I mean, whatever you collect, what you have baseball cards. The thing to me that I don't get is the comments like, well, it's not a real arcade. Well, having a commercial grade arcade compared to an Arcade1Up doesn't make you more of a man than somebody else. It's like if I have a Toyota Tercel and the guy next to me has a Ford F-150, is he more of a man because of what he owns, or is he more of a man because of his actions of what he does? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how someone thinks that puts somebody on top of another person. I don't get it. Anyways, I'm coming back here because I'm just fascinated by this. So the Arcade1Up Illuminati in full effect. All hail John D. Fox's argument was massively flawed. Yes, if you think it was, then you guys should talk to Fox about that. Listen, man, again, it all comes down to like. It's what you like. I'm not saying Fox is right. I'm not saying you're right. If Fox doesn't like the style of cabinets that there's nothing appealing to him about the way the cabinet looks, the art, anything like that. And the games that you're talking about that say he can play on it, he can also play on a Switch, don't interest him to play on an arcade cabinet. I mean, that's his argument. But that doesn't mean your argument's wrong or his argument's wrong. It's just different points of view, guys. And it's this thing about the Arcade1Up Illuminati is just fascinating because I've never once ever got anything from Arcade1Up. The closest I got to having anything was John D came on my show twice, and that was really cool. Something I've always wanted to do, something that was an honor for me. But I would be just as happy to have Jong on my show if Jong ever wanted to come on, or to have PK or somebody from Mac Games. I'm completely open to both. It's just John D offered. 100%. Everybody buy what you want. A seance. You don't want to have a seance. It's not good stuff. I'm telling you now. Watch the movie Witchboard, and then you'll get back to me on that. You want clicks and drama? Not everybody really cares about the clicks or the drama. I can play all the Capcom games on a Switch right now. Should we all sell our big blue cabs, I guess, then? I didn't watch 19K Fox's show. Is he telling people that they should sell their IR arcades? Or is he saying, I'm not going to buy my own IR arcade because of these games? There's a difference there. If he's telling people to sell their IR arcades because they can play their games on Switch, that's a different argument. But are you telling people to sell their big blue because they can play these games on the Switch? I don't know. I didn't watch the show. 3 prices for iArcade in the chat tonight and all wrong. I'm so fascinated with what's going on here. Let's get Tom Hanks on the case. I've been talking about it. I'm trying to get the other people that do the Arcade1Up stuff to do something fun with this whole Illuminati thing. It's the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. Broke people worry about how other people spend their money. RGT85, Man of Wisdom. I was talking about this earlier, and Sean, you'll remember this. Do you remember when the NES Classic came out? And I was one of the people, I was like, man, I want to get an NES Classic. And everybody started shitting on people that wanted the NES Classic, couldn't get one. And we're like, just get a Raspberry Pi. It can do more. It's fascinating. And people shitting on people for getting the NES Classic. Baffling to me at the time. Brandon the Man, here's a thought. We're all going to die one day. Are you seriously going to spend your days worrying about how something that you like is labeled by others? 100% no. I don't care. At the end of the day, I don't care. I buy what I want to buy. I've been around people all the time. I'll give you an example. Nostalgia. Like when I was buying my Arcade1Up pinballs, Nostalgia was like, you're wasting your money. You can play these on the ALP when you get it. It's going to look much better. It's going to be in 1080p. Just going to hook a computer up to it. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I still want to try it out. I still want to play it. I've never been the kind of person to let somebody tell me no about what I want. I'm going to buy what I want. I don't let other people impact my decisions. Kangzar Us knows. Mike isn't part of the Illuminati. He's just head shill. All hail head shill. Sorry, my opinions have monopolized your stream, Mike. Anybody wants to know my opinions of what I actually said, check out my stream. Yep. Thank you very much, 19K Fox. You didn't have to super chat that, brother. I appreciate it. And you don't have to say sorry at all. There's people that are obviously very adamant about their opinions and they get it out. Don't worry about that at all, brother. We'll talk afterwards at our scheduled Illuminati meeting. And there he goes. Sean knows. Yes, of course. Buy a pie was a staple from people. Still happens. Every single Arcade1Up review I do, someone will always comment, yeah, but they're junk. Why don't you just build a multicade? I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. I have no idea what a multicade was. Yeah, that's always my advice. So I have a lot of literal toys and my arcade toys. I want all the toys. That's the problem. And goddamn cool toy too. Every time he puts something up, like he has everything. It's like the Batman scene. Where does he get all these wonderful toys? And his ability to get them and his never-ending budget to get them just make me crazy because I don't have that much money. Yeah, I didn't take I haven't watched the whole thing yet, so I got to go back and watch it because I got to see that specific point. Hey, Jordan, some people call Don't Fear the Reaper a wussy song. What's the other song I love? I have it on like all my playlists. Blue Oyster Cult, Burning for You. I'll sing a little bit of the song. Don't apologize for my singing here. I'm burning for you. Banger track, man. If you haven't heard that, go listen to that. Blue Oyster Cult, Burning for You. I think that's the title. I can't remember off the top of my head. See, and there you go. Let's get to the more important question. Would you rather be attacked by 100 duck-sized horses, one horse-sized duck? There you go. Part of the big plus of the Mini Classic system was the controllers. Fun to play with. 100%. And I say that about the Arcade1Up too. You get a resemblance of the marquee game mainly that you're playing with, that you can play with, and it brings back that nostalgia. And that's what Arcade1Up's doing. They're selling nostalgia. It's not arcade accurate. No one claims that it's arcade accurate. No one's claiming that these are exact replicas. Now, some of the things, like Ralph brought up, the emulation should be 1-for-1, unless there's some kind of 100% reason why. It's one of the problems with the pinball tables. The emulation from what you experience on the computer to the Arcade1Up pinball tables isn't 1-for-1. It's still really good, though. It's still fun, but it's not what you expect. And then to see that with Terminator 2, it's a little disappointing. Arcade1Up, I saw on the Facebook group earlier, Arcade1Up did get back to some people that provided some feedback on their experience and said it doesn't affect gameplay. I'm going to say the same thing. I didn't notice that it affected gameplay either. I haven't checked any other video on it, but the only issue I saw and the only thing I noticed was there's real hiccups with sound at times. So it's the sound emulation. I don't know if there's something else or other issues, but the sound emulation was really kind of hitting me. Buenos dias, y'all. Yeah, Sean, I like your intro now. There's no more, oh my God, it's Stevie Richards. It's just buenos dias, y'all, and then the close-up. Yeah, that PlayStation Classic was a real disappointment. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. What's your opinion on the Capcom Home Arcade? What is the Capcom Home Arcade? I don't know if I know that one. Yeah, Sulpers, this is one I 100% agree with. The only thing I don't like about it is I don't like when it's uncomfortable to play. That's one thing that just kills me. In Mike Bangs we trust. I'm still shocked Arcade1Up even got the license for T2 and made the cab. Bravo, John D. Bravo. So there's that side too. We talked about this, and thank you so much, King Kong. Like, the fact that they even did this is kind of a big deal. I said it a bunch of times. It sucks. It's not right. Sucks. But I want an arcade shooter in my arcade. I want a T2. This was the cab we got. They're not going to build a new one from scratch. So that's why I bought it. And I made a video where I said this is the game they should make. And they made it. So it's kind of a surprise. And there you go. The NES Classic had awful controllers, 6-inch cables. That's 100% true. There's companies that made a fortune making controller extenders. And honestly, it's not 100% accurate to the original NES controller in terms of the way it controls, but P-Dubs, what's happening, brother? No, my Countercade didn't arrive yet. It arrives March 1st, Tuesday, March 1st. Oh, geez. I don't know. They definitely can't do Terminator Salvation with their current chipset. Never, ever happen. Won't happen. But in terms of licensing, yeah, they could totally get it. They've got a good relationship with Disney. And now, like, where it's all under one umbrella, I think they can make that work. I actually have controller extenders still new in box downstairs just for that. I went all in on the mini consoles. It was also around the same time I was getting just done with real collecting, and I got more into emulation, so yeah. Well, anyways, guys, I've kept you super long tonight. We're 3 minutes past. I'm having a rough day because I had one of my teeth ripped out earlier, and I do want to actually try it too before I fall asleep tonight. Finally finish Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo Switch. This is the furthest I've ever been. I'm right now on the last, what is it, Tick-Tock Woods or Click-Clack Woods. So I've got 3 jiggies left to get in that level, and I've already gone in and tried to do the whole Gruntilda's furnace game, and that thing's a nightmare. That should not be the last goddamn level. Holy shit. Yeah, so I want to play that, so I'm going to end pretty soon. Tyler Fisher's got a really good comment. Do you think there will be an N64 Mini? I sure thought so before the Switch came out and they released those original controllers, and at this point, I don't think there's any point in Nintendo doing it because they've already released what they're going to release. So I think the mini console thing has jumped the shark. I think the days of the mini console might be done now. Wait, you're still buying more? How has your wife not left you yet? I don't know, man. It's a miracle. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Hopefully, I didn't preach at you too much. That wasn't my intention. I don't want to tell you guys how to live or how you should feel or how you should think. The truth of the matter is, for me, how I've always felt, even going back to that video I made, Retro 2020, as an example, the most important thing is that people are out there, people are enjoying retro games, they're all playing. We get a chance to talk about it. You guys are watching the shit I make and put on YouTube. That's the most important thing. So anyways, have a great night. Go play whatever the hell you want, and I hope you have fun doing it. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.